Hello, welcome. I'd like to talk about discipline, different intellectual disciplines, and why I'm so strange. The reason I say I'm strange is that I'm under-specialized. Wendell Berry complains over 50 years of writing. He's a great author. He's one of the people I'll talk about here, about the problems with our industrial food system and our dependence on it and our lack of connection with our ecosystem and how we're destroying it as a result, losing our families, losing our farms, and everything else. And one of the things he says is that we're in a society that's much too over-specialized. And as a consequence, many people are so narrow in their view that they don't see the big picture. And, the sociologist isn't looking at the economics, and the economists generally might not be looking at the, ecological, et cetera. And so I've always, from early in life, I had a lot of different jobs. I was a cook, a dishwasher, I worked in a Jewish deli. I've been a roofer. I've worked foundations. I like doing different stuff. And intellectually, I did the same thing. So what I have that makes me so strange is I have this basis in Wendell Berry and farming for decades that I've studied, fascinated by it, and the Great Depression. But on the other hand, I was an international corporate tax attorney and graduated near the top of my class at UConn Law School, and my focus was tax and corporate finance. So I understand what a free martin is and what Rowan is, but I also understand what quantitative easing is in money supply. I'm sort of like Fred Tuttle meets, Milton Friedman, because Milton Friedman is the second voice. Now, if you bring the two together, these two together, the Wendell Berry and the interests of regenerative farming and agriculture and the dependency we now have on corporate America and industrialism for cheap food, because we value cheap over healthy or smart. And then you take Milton Friedman, who talks about the risks of money supply and fiat currencies, and when you print money without any accountability for it at all, and how inevitably it will collapse and lead to hyperinflation and a great deal of suffering for all, no matter what your gender, race, or political affiliation. Now, when you put those two things together and you take what's happened now with $7 trillion spending so far on COVID and everybody clamoring to print more money, has no one got a brain anymore? Has anybody looked at what happens to money supply? It does not bend to the other specialized interests who go, well, we'll just do this. In fact, it doesn't care at all. And so we're entering a time right now in America where we are so vulnerable for our food that history will look back and say, no people were ever more so twinly stupid, because they ignored both Wendell Berry and both Milton Friedman. And when you put them together, you have the greatest catastrophe ever facing humanity. Starvation like you've never even imagined could happen, because you never imagined that the government and corporate state wouldn't be there to feed you. Get your own food, because they're not going to do it for you. Now, just getting educated about these two things together, that's just two areas. But I hope you'll look at Vermont Liberty Network and some of my videos and get educated with me, because we all have to learn and we have to prepare to be together to face these challenges, because they're coming. Inflation's coming, and it's going to hurt the poorest of the poor first. That's the way it always is, and it almost looks deliberate. Learn with me, folks. Let's come together on the issues that really count. Thank you. Nothing sweeter than Vermont Liberty.